Rejection can feel like a sudden storm, leaving you drenched and disoriented. I remember the first time a major opportunity slipped through my fingers. The silence after the word no echoed for days. But what if that sting was not a setback, but a secret training ground for leadership? This is the heart of Stoicism, an ancient philosophy that turns life's rejections into your greatest strengths. We are going to explore 25 powerful Stoic tactics that will completely transform how you handle being turned down. You will not just learn to cope. You will learn to lead through rejection with a resilience and wisdom that inspires everyone around you. This is a practical journey into a mindset that has guided emperors and innovators for centuries, made simple for the challenges you face right now. How do you usually feel when a door closes in your face? That echo of silence after a rejection is where the first and perhaps most powerful Stoic tactic begins. It is called Premeditatio Malorum, which translates to the premeditation of evils. This is not about pessimism, it is about preparation. The Stoics believed in mentally rehearsing life's potential setbacks, including rejection, long before they ever happen. Think of it as a fire drill for your mind. You do not wait for the flames to practice your escape. You run through the steps calmly in advance so that if the alarm ever sounds, your response is automatic and composed. This practice systematically removes the emotional sting from rejection by confronting it on your own terms, in the safety of your own thoughts. Here is how you do it. Find a quiet moment and vividly visualize the worst-case scenario. You ask for the promotion and are told a firm no. You share your idea in a meeting and it is met with silence or outright dismissal. You confess your feelings and they are not returned. Do not shy away from the details. Feel the initial heat of embarrassment, the weight of disappointment. Now here is the crucial shift. After you have sat with that uncomfortable image, you ask yourself one question, and then what? What is the virtuous action I can take next? The rejection itself is not within your control, but your response absolutely is. You plan it. You might decide that your next move is to ask for constructive feedback, to refine your idea based on that feedback, or simply to accept the outcome with grace and move forward with your dignity intact. By doing this mental rehearsal, you accomplish something profound. You drain the event of its surprise and its power to shock you. When rejection does come, it feels less like a catastrophe and more like a scenario you have already navigated in your mind. Your heart rate stays steady, your mind stays clear. You are no longer reacting from a place of raw emotion, but responding from a place of prepared principle. This is the composure of a leader, the kind of calm that inspires confidence in everyone watching. It is the quiet assurance that comes not from knowing you will never fail, but from knowing you are always prepared to handle it. That prepared calm, that inner sanctuary, rests on a single profound distinction. It is the very bedrock of Stoic wisdom, known as the Dichotomy of Control. This principle draws a clear and unbreakable line between two territories, what is up to us and what is not. On one side of this line lies everything that is truly yours to command, your own judgments, your values, your intentions, and the actions you choose to take. This is your internal citadel, the only place where you have absolute sovereignty. On the other side of the line lies everything else, the opinions of others, the decisions they make, the outcomes of your efforts, and yes, every single instance of rejection you will ever face. Rejection does not live in your territory. It is an external event, a weather pattern happening outside your walls. A leader understands this map instinctively. They do not waste a single ounce of energy trying to command the storm. Instead, they focus all their power on reinforcing their own character and ensuring their own efforts are virtuous and wholehearted. Think about applying for a dream job. You have complete control over researching the company, crafting a thoughtful application, and presenting your best self in the interview. You pour your energy into that preparation, doing your part with excellence. But the moment you hit send on that application or walk out of the interview room, your control ends. The hiring manager's biases, the strength of the other candidates, the internal budget decisions you know nothing about, these are all outside your sphere. If the rejection email arrives, it is simply a report on those external conditions. It is not a verdict on your worth. The pain we feel from rejection almost always comes from a misplaced focus. We are trying to control something that was never ours to control in the first place. We tie our self-esteem to an outcome that depends on 1,000 variables we cannot see. A leader unties that knot. They find their satisfaction and their pride in the quality of their effort, in the courage it took to try, in the integrity they maintained throughout the process. The result, whether a yes or a no, is just information. It is data. This shift is liberating. It means you can walk away from any rejection with your head held high. Not because you got what you wanted, but because you know you did everything within your power with character and skill. Your energy is no longer drained by frustration over things you cannot change. It is conserved and redirected toward the next right action, the next virtuous effort. This is how you build a life that is resilient not to rejection, but defined by purposeful action regardless of it. This profound acceptance of what we cannot control opens the door to an even more transformative mindset. Amor fati is the Stoic art of loving your fate, of embracing every single event, including every rejection, as a necessary and welcome part of your path. It is the difference between tolerating a storm and learning to appreciate the rain for the strength it builds within you. A leader does not see a closed door as a final verdict. They see it as a redirection, a nudge from the universe toward a path they were meant to walk all along. Think of a sailor on a vast ocean. A strong wind blowing directly against them is not a failure. It is a force to be understood and used. By adjusting the sails, the sailor can harness that opposing wind to make progress, often in a more interesting and resilient direction than they had originally planned. Rejection is that wind. It is not there to stop you. It is there to teach you how to sail better. How do you cultivate this love for a fate that includes painful no's? You start by changing the story you tell yourself. Instead of saying, "I failed to get that job," you say, "That job was not the right fit for my true skills, and this frees me to find a role that truly aligns with my purpose." Instead of thinking, "My idea was rejected," you think, "That feedback revealed a flaw I can now fix, making my next proposal infinitely stronger." You actively look for the hidden gift, the lesson woven into the disappointment. Every no contains data about the world and about yourself. It reveals a misalignment, a skill gap, or simply a timing issue. By loving the no, you become a detective of your own destiny, eagerly collecting these clues to solve the puzzle of your own growth. This is what makes a leader so adaptable. They are not attached to a single, rigid outcome. They are committed to the journey itself, trusting that every setback, every rejection, is sculpting them into the person they need to be to handle the success that awaits. Amor fati is the ultimate act of trust in the unfolding of your own life. It is the quiet confidence that you are exactly where you are supposed to be, even when it feels like you have been left behind. That deep trust in your path, the love for your fate, requires a certain vantage point. It asks you to step back from the immediate sting and see your life from a much wider lens. This is where we find our fourth Stoic tactic, the view from above. Close your eyes for a moment and pull your perspective up and out of your current situation. See yourself not just in your room or your office, but from high above your city. Watch the cars moving like tiny ants, the buildings standing like silent blocks. Now pull back further, see your entire country, then the whole planet, a beautiful blue and green marble floating in the immense blackness of space. From here, your life is a single, fleeting blink, and this instance of rejection you are facing, it becomes a microscopic event in the grand tapestry of existence. This is not meant to make you feel insignificant. It is meant to grant you perspective, The crushing weight of that no, the embarrassment that feels so all-consuming. How heavy is it really when measured against the scale of oceans, continents, and galaxies? A leader understands this cosmic scale. They know that most of the dramas we inflate into catastrophes are, in truth, minor fluctuations in a much longer story. When you feel the heat of rejection rising in your chest, practice this shift in perspective. It is the ultimate antidote to overreacting. That harsh email from a colleague, the lost client, the personal slight. These things lose their power to dictate your emotional state when you see them as the small, temporary events they truly are. This does not mean you become cold or uncaring. It means you respond with the calm detachment of a general surveying a battlefield, not the panic of a single soldier in the trenches. You can address the situation with clarity and purpose because your vision is no longer clouded by a sense of impending doom. You are able to ask the right questions. Will this matter in a week, in a year, in a decade? Does this single event define my entire journey? The view from above answers with a gentle but firm no. It shrinks the problem down to its true size, allowing you to allocate only the appropriate amount of emotional energy to it. This is the wisdom of the leader who never loses sight of the bigger picture, the one who knows that a storm in a teacup is still just a storm in a teacup. That cosmic perspective clears the emotional fog, allowing you to see the event for what it truly is, not what your fears claim it to be. This brings us to the fifth tactic, the cornerstone of a leader's clarity, objective judgment. Every rejection arrives wrapped in layers of our own interpretation. We do not just hear the word no, we hear a story we instantly tell ourselves. They think I am not good enough. This is so unfair, I am a failure. The Stoics teach us that the initial event, the bare fact of the rejection, is neutral. It is simply a piece of information. This person said no, this company did not hire me, this group did not accept my proposal. That is the objective reality. All the pain, the anger, the humiliation that follows, that is not in the event itself. That is the secondary suffering we create through our own value judgments by labeling the event as bad or catastrophic. A leader practices the discipline of stripping away those judgments to see the bare facts. Think of a doctor diagnosing an illness. They do not look at a fever and declare it a personal injustice. They see it as data, a symptom to be understood and addressed with calm precision. You must become the doctor of your own setbacks. When a rejection lands, pause before the story takes over. State the facts to yourself in the simplest terms possible. I presented my idea. 3 out of 5 people voted against it. That is all. From this clean slate of perception, you can now choose a response based on logic, not on wounded pride. What can I learn from the 3 no votes? Was my presentation clear? Did I address their core concerns? This is how you transform a personal affront into a practical puzzle. It is the difference between storming out of a room in anger and staying to ask thoughtful questions about how to improve. This mental shift is a superpower. It prevents you from adding fuel to the fire of your own disappointment. The rejection itself is a small, contained event. It is your judgment that it is terrible that makes it feel overwhelming. By refusing to label it as such, you contain the damage and reclaim your power to respond effectively. Your energy is no longer consumed by complaining about what happened. It is freed up to analyze what happened and to plan your next move with a clear and focused mind. This is the mark of true leadership, the ability to face a setback without a personal crisis, to see the world as it is, not as your fears wish it to be. That clean slate of objective judgment is only possible if you have a place of unshakable inner peace to stand upon. This brings us to the Stoic fortress, the inner citadel. The ancient Stoics envisioned our true self as a fortified inner castle, with our core values and our capacity for reason as its impenetrable walls. Rejection, criticism, and failure are not you. They are events happening outside the walls. They can rage and shout at the gates, but they cannot enter unless you personally lower the drawbridge and invite them in. Your self-worth, your integrity, your peace of mind, these are the treasures you guard inside, and they are untouchable by any external verdict. A leader understands this geography of the soul. They know that their mission and their character are not defined by the applause or the boos from the crowd outside. So how do you build this fortress stone by stone through daily practice? It begins with a conscious return to your principles. Every morning you remind yourself of who you are and what you stand for. I am a person who acts with honesty. I value courage over comfort. I treat others with respect regardless of how they treat me. This daily affirmation is like a mason laying another brick in your wall. Then, throughout the day, you practice defending the gate. When a minor irritation occurs, like someone cutting you off in traffic, you consciously choose not to let anger in. You observe the event, you acknowledge the feeling, but you do not grant it citizenship within your citadel. This is the training for the bigger battles. When a major rejection strikes, your defenses are already strong and seasoned. The news that you did not get the funding, the harsh critique of your work, these become like a siege against your walls. But because you have been practicing, your response is not panic. It is a calm assessment. You look at the situation from the high towers of your reason and ask, does this external event change my core values? Does it make me less honest, less diligent, less kind? The answer is always a resounding no. Your worth was never on the line, only an outcome was. This is the profound security of the inner citadel. It allows you to engage with the world fully, to take bold risks and share your ideas, because you know that no matter the result, you will return to a sanctuary of self that remains whole and unbroken. You can listen to feedback without crumbling, because the feedback is about an action or an idea, not the essence of who you are. The leader who remains steadfast in their mission despite overwhelming opposition is not stubborn. They are simply a person who lives securely within their own well-defended walls, making decisions from a place of inner peace, not external pressure. That fortress of inner peace does not mean you hide from the world. On the contrary, it gives you the unshakable foundation to engage with it more boldly than ever, especially with the obstacles themselves. This is the heart of our seventh Stoic tactic, the art of using obstacles as fuel. The Stoics had a radical view of the challenges we face. They believed that an obstacle is not a barrier standing in your way, it is the very path itself. The friction of rejection, the resistance you feel, that is not a sign to stop. It is the raw material you are meant to forge your character and your success upon. Think of a fire. You cannot have a flame without wood to burn. Rejection is that wood. It provides the heat and the energy that can either consume you or propel you forward, depending on how you choose to use it. A leader always chooses propulsion. When a door slams shut, they do not stand there staring at it, mourning the loss of a single opportunity. They turn around, feeling the surge of adrenaline and disappointment, and they channel that entire wave of energy into finding another door, or better yet, building a new one. The initial sting of a no carries a powerful charge. It is pure, undiluted motivational energy. The key is to harness it before it curdles into bitterness or resignation. The moment you receive a rejection, acknowledge the feeling, then immediately ask yourself a transformative question. How can this specific setback make me better, stronger, or more creative? If your manuscript was rejected by a publisher, use that energy to scrutinize your opening chapter with fresh, critical eyes, or to research new, more aligned publishing avenues. If a potential client turned you down, let that fuel a complete overhaul of your pitch, making it so compelling that the next client cannot possibly say no. This is how you turn a setback into a setup for a comeback. History is filled with leaders who mastered this alchemy. Every inventor whose prototype failed, every explorer whose map was wrong, every artist whose work was initially scorned, they all took the weight of that no and used it as a stepping stone. The rejection did not break them, it tempered them like steel is tempered by fire and hammer blows. It forced them to innovate, to dig deeper, to find a solution no one else had seen. Your own rejections are your personal forge. The heat is uncomfortable, but it is necessary to shape you into something more resilient and more capable than you were before. Do not waste a single ounce of that energy on self-pity. Let it fuel your next endeavor with greater determination, sharper creativity, and a more relentless effort. The obstacle is not just in the way, it is the way. This relentless forging of your character against the friction of rejection raises a vital question. What is all this effort truly for? The eighth Stoic tactic provides a stark and clarifying answer: memento mori, the practice of remembering you will die. This is not a morbid fixation on death, but a powerful tool to illuminate life. By consciously holding the finite nature of your time on earth in your mind, you instantly gain a new lens through which to view every setback. That rejection letter, that failed project, that social snub, how much does any of it truly matter when held against the ultimate deadline of your own mortality? A leader who carries this awareness does not get bogged down in petty grievances. They understand that time is the one resource you can never get back, and they refuse to squander it by dwelling on a single no. Think of a sand timer with the grains steadily falling. Each grain is a moment of your life. When you spend hours or days agonizing over a rejection, you are watching a precious pile of sand accumulate on the side of worry and inaction, lost forever. Memento mori turns the timer over in your mind. It reminds you that this day, this very hour, is a non-renewable resource. How do you want to spend it? Wallowing in the memory of a closed door or taking the next courageous step toward a new one, this perspective does not make you callous, it makes you fiercely focused. It forces you to prioritize what is truly essential, which for the Stoics is living virtuously right now. The opinion of a critic, the outcome of a single endeavor, these things shrink to their proper size. They become minor events in a much grander and more urgent project, the project of building a life of character and purpose before your time runs out. So the next time a rejection stings, pause and ask yourself this memento mori question. On the last day of my life, looking back, will this particular setback even be a footnote in my story? The answer will almost always be no. What will matter then is whether you had the courage to keep living fully, to keep trying, to keep contributing something good to the world despite the countless no's you encountered along the way. This remembrance infuses your present actions with a profound urgency and a liberating lightness. It is the catalyst that turns contemplation into immediate, decisive action. The mark of a leader who knows that the only real failure is a life lived in fear of temporary setbacks. This relentless focus on our finite time pushes us to actively strengthen our capacity for resilience, not just wait for life to test us. This is the purpose of voluntary discomfort, a deliberate practice of seeking out small, manageable hardships to inoculate yourself against the fear of larger ones. You are building your resilience muscles in the gym of everyday life, so that when the real marathon of rejection comes, you are already in shape. Leaders throughout history have understood this principle, using times of peace to prepare for the inevitable struggles of leadership. They did not wait for a crisis to discover their fortitude. They cultivated it daily through simple, self-imposed challenges. A cold shower on a comfortable morning, choosing to walk instead of drive, skipping a meal to understand the difference between want and need. These are all exercises in voluntary discomfort. Each one is a small battle where you practice commanding your own comfort-seeking impulses. You feel the initial urge to avoid the cold, the inconvenience, the hunger, and you consciously choose to proceed anyway. In that moment, you are not just taking a cold shower. You are rehearsing for the day you receive a painful rejection. You are teaching your nervous system a fundamental lesson, that discomfort is not danger, that you can tolerate unease and still remain perfectly calm and in control. The goal is not to punish yourself, but to prove something to yourself. It proves that your peace of mind is not dependent on perfect external conditions. When you voluntarily step into a minor hardship and emerge unscathed on the other side, you drain the power from future involuntary hardships. The prospect of social rejection of a professional setback loses its terrifying edge because you have a deep cellular memory of handling discomfort with grace. You have already faced the cold, the hunger, the inconvenience, and you are still standing. A leader who practices this does not fear the volatility of markets or the criticism of peers because they have built an inner stability that is independent of circumstance. They welcome challenges as just another form of training, another opportunity to practice the composure they have been cultivating all along. Start small. Choose one tiny comfort to forego this week. Feel the minor resistance and move through it. Each time you do, you are depositing a small coin in the bank of your future courage, ensuring that when a major rejection arrives, you are rich in the resilience needed to handle it not as a crisis, but as just another part of the training. This disciplined practice of voluntary hardship sharpens your focus from the outside world to the inner quality of your own actions. We now arrive at a principle that separates the amateur from the true leader, the focus on the process, not the outcome. A leader's sense of worth and satisfaction is drawn from the well of their own effort, from the integrity they pour into each step of the journey, not from the trophy waiting at the finish line. The Stoics believed that the only thing truly good is a virtuous character, and the only thing truly bad is a vicious one. Everything else, including the results of your actions, is merely preferred or dispreferred. Your control begins and ends with your own choices in the present moment. You can choose to be prepared, to be diligent, to be courageous, to be honest. You cannot choose to win the race, to get the yes, to guarantee the sale. When you tie your happiness to that external outcome, you hand over the keys to your emotional state to forces you can never command. Instead, anchor yourself in the excellence of your process. Think of a master craftsman carving a beautiful piece of furniture. Their pride is not in whether a specific customer buys it. Their pride is in the careful selection of the wood, the precision of each cut, the smoothness of the final finish. They pour their soul into the craft itself. If a customer walks away, the craftsman feels disappointment, certainly, but their core sense of accomplishment remains unshaken because it was built into the work, not the transaction. Apply this to your own endeavors. Your goal is not to get the promotion. Your goal is to do the work of a person who deserves a promotion, to be so diligent, helpful, and innovative that the promotion becomes a natural byproduct, or it simply redirects you to a place where those qualities will be better recognized. Your goal is not to avoid rejection. Your goal is to communicate your ideas with such clarity and conviction that you are proud of your delivery, regardless of the audience's reaction. This shift is profoundly liberating. It allows you to detach from the desperate need for approval. You no longer speak or act to please others, but to express your own truth and capability. This is what it means to lead with authenticity. People are not inspired by someone who is frantically chasing a result. They are inspired by someone who is so committed to the path of excellence that the result becomes almost secondary. They see your unwavering dedication to the process itself, your calm in the face of uncertainty, your ability to put forth your best effort even when no one is watching and the rewards are not guaranteed. This builds a trust that is far deeper than any single success could ever provide. It tells the world that you are built not for a single victory, but for the long and worthy journey. That deep commitment to the process, to the integrity of your own actions, requires a clear and honest mirror. You need a way to see your own reactions with the same objective clarity you apply to the world outside. This is where the 11th Stoic tactic transforms self-awareness from a vague idea into a daily discipline, the practice of journaling your reactions. Every night before sleep resets the day, take out a simple notebook. This is not a diary for recording events. It is a training ground for your character. Your focus is specifically on how you handled the day's friction, especially any form of rejection. The process is structured and deeply revealing. Start with the bare facts. Write down what actually happened, stripping away all the stories and interpretations. I was not chosen for the project lead role. My suggestion was dismissed in the team meeting. Then move to your internal weather. Write down what you felt in that moment. I felt a hot surge of embarrassment followed by a cold wave of resentment. I started telling myself that my colleague was trying to undermine me. Be brutally honest here. No one else will ever read this. You are excavating the raw material of your own psyche. Now for the most powerful part. After you have laid out the event and your emotional response, you ask the Stoic question, how could I have responded more virtuously? This is not about self-criticism. It is about strategic improvement. Look at your initial reaction with the detached eye of a coach reviewing game tape. Perhaps instead of withdrawing into silence after the meeting, the more courageous response would have been to calmly ask my colleague to elaborate on their concerns. Maybe instead of letting the project rejection fester, the wiser action would have been to immediately schedule a meeting with my manager to request specific feedback for my growth. You are not rewriting the past, you are rehearsing for the future. You are building a mental library of better, more resilient responses. This nightly ritual accomplishes something profound. It creates a space between the event and your analysis of it, a space where wisdom can grow. The heat of the moment cools on the page, allowing you to see patterns you would otherwise miss. You might notice that you consistently interpret silence as disapproval, or that your first reaction to any no is to assume personal failure. This is the data of your soul, and it is invaluable. Leaders who practice this are not immune to disappointment, but they become masters of their own recovery. They learn from every single experience, especially the painful ones. They do not let a rejection pass without extracting its full lesson, turning every closed door into a masterclass in their own emotional architecture. This quiet, consistent practice of self-reflection is what separates a reactive individual from a responsive leader, one who is always growing, always adapting, always building a stronger inner citadel with the bricks of their own daily experience. That nightly journaling practice gradually peels back the layers of your own story, revealing a profound truth about every other person in your life. Every individual who has ever delivered a rejection, from the hiring manager to the critical friend, is living inside their own complex narrative. They are not one-dimensional villains in your story, but the central characters in theirs, acting from a place of their own perceptions, biases, and limited knowledge. This is the core of the 12th Stoic tactic, seeing the full humanity in others. When someone rejects you, their action is almost never a pure, objective assessment of your worth. It is a reflection of their current state of mind, their past experiences, their fears about the future, and the immense amount of information they simply do not have. A leader understands this intricate web of human judgment. They know that a no is rarely personal, even when it feels deeply personal. Think about the last time you had to say no to someone. Perhaps a friend invited you to an event, but you were exhausted from a long week and knew you would not be good company. Your rejection was not a statement about your friend's value. It was a decision based on your own tiredness, your own need for quiet. You were acting from your own humanity with all its limitations. Now flip that perspective. The manager who rejected your application might be under immense pressure from their own boss to cut costs. The editor who passed on your article might have just published 3 similar pieces and is worried about redundancy. The person who declined your invitation might be carrying a private grief that makes socializing feel impossible. When you pause to consider their possible reasons, the sharp edge of resentment begins to dull. This is not about making excuses for them. It is about seeing the situation with greater accuracy, which is the foundation of wisdom. Empathy becomes your most powerful lens. How might this look from their side of the table? What pressures might they be facing that I cannot see? This line of questioning does not make the rejection pleasant, but it transforms it from a targeted attack into a simple and often understandable misalignment of needs or circumstances. A compassionate leader responds to this understanding not with retaliation but with grace. They might reply to a rejection email with a simple, "Thank you for your time and consideration. I understand you had a difficult decision to make." This kind of response is disarming. It demonstrates an emotional maturity that often leaves a more lasting and positive impression than any success could. It shows that you see the other person not as a gatekeeper to your destiny, but as a fellow human being doing their best with the information they have. This ability to depersonalize rejection frees up immense emotional energy. You stop wasting time crafting narratives of blame and instead accept the event as a complex interplay of human factors. Your focus shifts from "Why did they do this to me?" to "What can I learn from this interaction?" This is the mark of a leader who leads with both strength and compassion, who builds bridges even when doors are closed, knowing that the same humanity that causes rejection is also the source of all connection and understanding. Seeing the full humanity in others liberates you from taking rejection personally, but where do you anchor your own sense of worth once you have let go of their approval? The answer lies in a fundamental redefinition of success itself. Stoicism insists that true success is not a title, a bank balance, or the applause of a crowd. It is the quiet, unwavering quality of your own character. It is measured by your courage when you are afraid, your integrity when no one is watching, and your resilience when you are knocked down. When you make this internal shift, you become the final and only judge of your own value, a stance of self-validated leadership that no external verdict can ever shake. Think of two artists. The first paints solely for the art critics, changing his style with every trend and feeling crushed by a negative review. His sense of success is a fragile thing, held hostage by opinions he cannot control. The second artist paints to express a truth she feels inside. She studies her craft, pours her heart onto the canvas, and strives for her own personal standard of excellence. A critic's rejection may disappoint her, but it does not devastate her because her success was already achieved in the act of creating something she believed in. Her validation came from within. This is the power of defining your own success by your virtues. Your goal is not to avoid rejection, but to act with honor, wisdom, and courage in the pursuit of your goals. Did you speak your truth with clarity? Did you treat others with respect throughout the process? Did you give your absolute best effort? If you can answer yes to these questions, then you have already succeeded regardless of the outcome. The promotion you did not get, the deal that fell through, the social circle that excluded you, these events become mere data points. They tell you something about the external world, but they say nothing about the content of your character. You remain the sole author of that story. This is not an excuse for underperformance. In fact, it is the foundation for sustained excellence. When you are not paralyzed by the fear of external judgment, you are free to take bigger risks, to innovate more boldly, and to speak more authentically. Your energy is no longer consumed by managing other people's perceptions. It is channeled entirely into the quality of your own actions. A leader who operates from this self-validated core is unmanipulable and deeply inspiring. They are not chasing a trophy to prove their worth. They are moving through the world from a place of inherent wholeness, making decisions based on principle, not popularity. They can listen to feedback without collapsing because the feedback is about their strategy, not their soul. They can face 1,000 no's and still move forward with unwavering purpose because their compass is calibrated to their own inner North Star, not the shifting winds of external opinion. Your value is not something others grant you. It is something you embody through your every virtuous choice. That inner citadel of self-validated worth creates a space for a profound mental discipline, the practice of withholding your immediate agreement from every thought that knocks at your door. This is the Stoic discipline of assent, a tactical pause between an external event and your internal reaction. When rejection strikes, your mind instantly offers you a packaged interpretation, a story. I am a failure, this is a disaster, they have ruined everything. The untrained mind accepts this story without question, assenting to it as if it were an undeniable fact. The emotional storm that follows is not caused by the rejection itself, but by your swift and unquestioning agreement with this initial, often catastrophic narrative. A leader, however, has learned to install a mental checkpoint. They hear the thought, but they do not automatically open the gate and let it in. Instead, they hold it at the door for a moment of rational examination. They ask two simple but powerful questions. Is this thought objectively true? And is this thought helpful for my progress? Take the common impression, I am a failure because I was rejected. Pause, is that true? A single rejection is a data point about one specific attempt, not a final verdict on your entire being. You have succeeded at countless other things in your life. The statement is a gross overgeneralization, a cognitive distortion, not a fact. Now, is it helpful? Does believing you are a failure empower you to learn, adapt, and try again? Or does it paralyze you with shame and make you want to give up? Clearly, it is not helpful. By dissecting the thought in this way, you revoke your automatic assent. You see it for what it is, a fleeting, emotional interpretation, not a sacred truth. This creates a critical gap, a moment of freedom. In that gap, you can choose a different, more accurate, and more empowering story to believe. That attempt did not work out, and I feel disappointed. Now I will analyze what I can learn and decide on my next step. This new narrative is grounded, factual, and forward-moving. It acknowledges the feeling without being consumed by it, and it directs your energy toward constructive action. This discipline is like being the editor of your own internal newspaper. The initial, raw impression is a sensationalist headline shouted by a panicked reporter. Your rational mind is the editor-in-chief, whose job is to check the facts, tone down the hyperbole, and publish a story that is both accurate and useful for the readers, who are all the other parts of your psyche waiting for guidance. Every time you practice this pause, you strengthen your executive control over your own mind. You stop being a passenger on a runaway emotional train and become the calm, steady engineer, redirecting the course toward a more virtuous destination. This is the essence of a leader's response, not the absence of feeling, but the sovereign choice of which feelings and thoughts to give power to, ensuring that every reaction is measured, reasoned, and ultimately your own. That disciplined pause before you accept a negative thought gives you the clarity to ask the most important question of all. What is the lesson here? Every single rejection, no matter how harsh or unfair it seems, contains a hidden curriculum for your growth. The 15th Stoic tactic is to become a relentless student of every no, actively mining it for the feedback and wisdom it inevitably holds. A leader does not see a setback as a final grade, but as a detailed report card pointing directly to the skills and perspectives they need to develop next. The moment the sting of rejection begins to fade, you must lean in with curiosity. Sit down with the experience as if it were a patient teacher and ask it direct, probing questions. What can this specific rejection teach me about my approach? Was my timing off? Did I truly understand the needs of the person I was pitching to? Was my idea communicated with the clarity and passion it deserved? How can this experience make me stronger? Does it reveal a need for thicker skin, for more thorough preparation, or for the courage to stand by my convictions even when they are unpopular? This line of inquiry transforms a passive, painful event into an active, productive investigation. You are no longer a victim of circumstance. You are a detective on the case of your own improvement. For example, if a potential client rejects your proposal, the easy story is that they did not see your value. The lesson-seeking leader digs deeper. They might realize their proposal focused too much on features and not enough on the client's specific problems. That is a masterclass in sales and communication delivered for free. If a personal overture is declined, the lesson might be about the importance of reading social cues or understanding that another person's readiness has its own timeline, a lesson in patience and empathy. This habit turns every closed door into a mirror, reflecting back not your inadequacy, but your next area for development. The most successful people in any field are not those who avoid failure, but those who have become experts at deconstructing it. They collect rejections like data points, each one refining their strategy and sharpening their skills. They understand that the path to mastery is paved with the bricks of every no, each one placed carefully to build a stronger, more resilient foundation. Embrace rejection as your most honest and uncompromising coach. It will not flatter you, but it will always tell you the truth about where you need to grow next. The leader who listens to that truth is the one who never stops evolving. This relentless search for the lesson naturally opens the door to a more profound transformation, one that reframes the entire experience through the lens of gratitude. It sounds counterintuitive, even absurd, to thank the universe for a door slammed in your face. Yet this is the 16th Stoic tactic, a deliberate practice of gratitude for the rejection itself. You are not saying thank you for the pain, but for the opportunity the pain provides, the chance to practice the very virtues that define a leader. Every time you are turned down, you are handed a live training exercise in patience, a real-world test of your courage, and a practical exam in resilience. These are not abstract concepts, they are muscles, and they only grow when they are used against resistance. A leader sees a rejection and thinks, "Thank you for this chance to practice my composure. Thank you for this opportunity to demonstrate my integrity even in disappointment. Thank you for this reminder that my worth is not for sale and that my path requires this friction to move forward." This is a conscious pivot from what was lost to what was gained. The loss is an illusion, a single missed opportunity. The gain is permanent, a new layer of strength woven into the fabric of your character. How do you actually do this? The next time a no lands, pause and consciously articulate your thanks, either silently to yourself or even written in that journal. Thank you for revealing a flaw in my plan that I can now fix. Thank you for freeing up my time and energy for an endeavor that is a better fit. Thank you for teaching me how to handle disappointment with grace, a lesson more valuable than any easy yes. This practice systematically rewires your emotional response. The event ceases to be a personal punishment and becomes a necessary drill, a gift of fortitude from a world that is, in its own harsh way, trying to make you stronger. Your focus shifts from the closed door to the new corridors of possibility now visible because you are no longer staring at a wall. This grateful mindset is the engine of a positive, forward-moving outlook. It is the difference between a leader who is weighed down by every setback and one who is curiously, almost eagerly, strengthened by them. They walk through the world with a deep and abiding thankfulness for the entire journey, the smooth paths and the rugged climbs alike, knowing that both are equally essential in shaping the person they are destined to become. This inner fortress you have been building has a command center, a single room from which all your choices and judgments emanate. The ancient Stoics called this the hegemonikon, your ruling faculty. It is not your heart, not your emotions, but your capacity for reason and your power of conscious choice. This is the true seat of your leadership, and its security is paramount. Every external event, especially a rejection, is like a messenger running into this command center, shouting urgent news. The news itself is neutral. The critical question is whether you allow that messenger to knock over the furniture, scatter your papers, and send you into a panicked frenzy. A leader's first duty is to keep that center secure, to hear the message without letting it disrupt the orderly process of making virtuous decisions. When a rejection arrives, it brings with it a storm of potential disturbances. Feelings of anger, shame, and disappointment are all messengers clamoring for your attention. The untrained response is to let them in, to let their chaos become your own. Your reasoning is clouded, your judgment compromised, and you risk making decisions from a place of wounded pride or fear. You might fire off a bitter email, give up on a project entirely, or retreat into sullen silence. These are the actions of a command center under siege. The Stoic practice is to station a guard at the door. That guard is your proverbial reason. When the emotional messengers arrive, you acknowledge their presence. You say, "I see that disappointment is here. I feel the anger knocking," but you do not grant them executive authority. You allow them to deliver their message, and then you escort them out, leaving your ruling faculty clear and quiet to do its work. From this place of undisturbed clarity, you can assess the message objectively. The facts are these: a certain outcome did not materialize. Now, what is the most rational and virtuous response available to me? The answer will never be to panic, to despair, or to retaliate. The answer will be to learn, to adapt, or to persevere with even greater focus. Your inner peace is not the absence of challenges. It is the sustained security of this command center, ensuring that no external event can ever hijack your capacity to choose wisely. This is how you lead, not by avoiding storms, but by ensuring the navigator at your helm remains calm and capable, no matter how fierce the waves become. Securing your inner command center is a private victory, but its power is proven in public view. Your posture in the moment of rejection, the look in your eyes, the steadiness of your voice, these are the signals that define a leader. There is a profound behavioral tactic that bridges the gap between how you feel and how you wish to be seen. Act as if you are unaffected. This is not about deception or suppressing your true emotions. It is a practical, almost mechanical method for guiding your psyche toward a more resilient state. You consciously choose the outward behavior of a person who is composed, confident, and in control, even when your internal world is trembling. You straighten your spine when you feel the urge to slump. You maintain a calm, even tone when your instinct is to lash out or your voice wants to crack. You offer a gracious thank you for the consideration when every fiber of your being wants to protest. The Stoics understood a truth that modern psychology now confirms. Our actions do not just express our internal state, they actively create it. By deliberately adopting the physical posture and demeanor of a leader, you send a powerful feedback signal to your own brain. You are essentially telling your nervous system, "We are handling this. There is no emergency." Watch a seasoned captain on a ship during a squall. They do not necessarily feel calm inside. They feel the adrenaline, the responsibility, the fear, but they act as if they are calm. They stand firmly on the deck. They speak in measured tones to the crew. They make decisions with an appearance of utter certainty. This performance is not fake, it is functional. It keeps the crew from panicking, and more importantly, it helps the captain's own mind settle into the role required by the crisis. Each time you choose the action of composure over the reaction of distress, you are carving a new neural pathway. The first time it feels like an act. The 10th time it feels like a choice. The 100th time it feels like who you are. You are not waiting to feel resilient before you act resilient. You act resilient and the feeling of resilience follows. This is how you build the muscle of leadership presence, repetition by repetition, until the calm, unshakable demeanor you once practiced becomes your natural and authentic response to any setback. That unshakable composure you carry, that leader's posture, rests on a deep understanding of time's relentless flow. Every single thing you experience is in motion, a temporary arrangement of circumstances that is already changing even as you label it. Your sharpest disappointment, your most profound sense of rejection, is not a permanent state. It is a passing weather system moving through the landscape of your life. The Stoics called this the doctrine of impermanence, and it is your 19th tactic for navigating rejection with a leader's grace. "This too shall pass" is not just a comforting phrase. It is a statement of fact, a law of nature as reliable as the rising and setting of the sun. The intensity you feel in the wake of a no is real, but it is not eternal. Think of a deep cut. In the first moment, the pain is all-consuming. It feels like it will never end, but slowly, the body begins its work. The bleeding stops, a scab forms, and beneath the surface, new skin is woven together. The pain fades from a scream to a throb, and then to a memory. Your emotional wounds follow the exact same process. The initial sting of rejection is the cut. The practice of your Stoic principles is the body's innate healing intelligence, working steadily even when you cannot see it. A leader leverages this truth. When the weight of a setback feels overwhelming, they consciously remind themselves, this is temporary. I will not feel this exact way tomorrow or next week. This perspective acts as an emotional pressure valve, preventing you from getting stuck in the quicksand of the present moment. It allows you to acknowledge the pain without becoming the pain. You can say to yourself, right now, this feels terrible, and that is okay. This feeling is a visitor, not a tenant. It does not have the right to take up permanent residence in your mind. This understanding fuels forward momentum. Why would you build a monument to a temporary feeling? Why would you let a passing storm convince you to abandon your entire journey? Knowing that the discomfort is finite gives you the courage to take the very next small step, and then the one after that. Each step you take is a confirmation that you are moving through the experience, not being buried by it. The rejection itself may be a fact, but your suffering over it is optional, and it is always, without exception, temporary. Hold onto this truth as your compass in the darkest moments. The clouds have never yet failed to part. The dawn has never yet failed to arrive. Your current situation is simply a single frame in a long and evolving story, and you hold the pen to write what comes next. Your inner command center is secure, your perspective grounded in impermanence, yet a modern world offers a constant, seductive distortion of reality. We scroll through a curated gallery of other people's successes, their promotions, their celebrated launches, their seemingly flawless relationships, and we hold our own raw, unedited rejections up against their highlight reels. This is a dangerous and draining comparison, one that the 20th Stoic tactic directly confronts by advising a disciplined reduction in your social media consumption. The Stoics were adamant about focusing only on what is within your own control, your own character, your own efforts. Social media floods your mind with concerns that are not yours, with benchmarks that are utterly false, and with a version of success that is almost entirely an illusion. Every minute you spend envying a filtered life is a minute you steal from your own genuine progress. A leader understands that their journey is unique, their battles are fought in private, and their victories are built on a foundation of stumbles that never make it online. To constantly measure your unvarnished reality against someone else's polished facade is to guarantee a sense of inadequacy and frustration. It drains the very mental energy you need to process your own rejections constructively and to persevere with your own mission. So how do you apply this ancient wisdom to a modern plague? Begin with a simple audit. Notice how you feel after 30 minutes of scrolling. Do you feel inspired and motivated, or do you feel anxious, envious, and somehow behind? Be brutally honest with yourself. The goal is not necessarily to delete all your accounts, but to curate your digital environment with the same fierce intention you would protect your inner citadel. Unfollow accounts that trigger comparison, that make your own hard-won progress feel small. Mute the noise. This creates space for a crucial shift, a return to your own metrics of success. Your progress is not measured against the illusory milestones of strangers. It is measured against the person you were yesterday. Did you act with more courage today? Did you handle that small disappointment with more grace? Did you take one concrete step toward a goal that matters to you, even if it was invisible to everyone else? This is the real work of leadership, work that happens off-screen, in the quiet determination of your own daily practice. By limiting your exposure to these false comparisons, you reclaim vast reserves of focus and emotional stability. You stop worrying about the race everyone else seems to be winning, and you dedicate all your power to mastering your own lane. Your energy is no longer scattered by envy, but concentrated on building something true, something that can withstand any rejection because its value was never defined by public approval in the first place. Your inner stability cannot be swayed by the opinions of the crowd, whether they cheer or boo. This is the essence of the 21st Stoic tactic, cultivating a profound indifference to both praise and blame. The goal is not to become cold or unfeeling, but to build an inner equilibrium so steady that your sense of direction is never knocked off course by the shifting winds of external judgment. A leader who is hooked on praise will inevitably be crushed by criticism. They become like a ship with two captains, one steering toward applause and the other fleeing from disapproval, resulting in a zigzagging, uncertain path. The Stoic leader has a single, unwavering captain at the helm, their own purpose. They listen to feedback, they appreciate encouragement, but they do not let it become the fuel for their engine or the anchor that holds them back. Imagine you are a mountain. Praise is the warm sunshine on your slopes, and blame is the harsh rain and wind. The mountain does not grow taller from the sun or shrink from the storm. It simply is, enduring and unchanged through all seasons. Your character must become that mountain. When someone rejects your idea, their criticism is merely weather hitting your slopes. It may be uncomfortable, but it does not change your fundamental substance. Conversely, when you are celebrated and praised, that too is just passing weather. It feels good, but if you rely on it for your height, you will collapse when the clouds inevitably return. This balanced state is where true freedom resides. You are free to act based on what is right, not on what is popular. You can accept a rejection, analyze its merits for learning, and then let it go without it defining you. You can receive a standing ovation, feel a genuine moment of happiness, and then return to your work the next day with the same quiet dedication, your ego no larger than it was before. This is the mark of a leader people truly trust. They are not performing for approval. They are pursuing a mission, and their steady, reliable presence assures everyone that the course is true, regardless of the forecast. Your value was never in their words, but in your deeds, and that is a truth no opinion can ever touch. That mountain-like indifference to praise and blame creates a surprising space for lightness. Even the heaviest rejection can be lifted with a well-placed, gentle laugh at yourself. The 20-second Stoic tactic is to use humor as a shield, not to deny the reality of the situation, but to instantly shrink it down to its proper, manageable size. A self-deprecating quip in the face of a no does not mean you are not taking the goal seriously. It means you are refusing to take the setback or your own ego too seriously. Think of a balloon inflated with hot air. A rejection can feel like someone is pumping it to the point of bursting. A touch of humor is the pinprick that releases the pressure, leaving the balloon intact and still perfectly functional, just no longer threatening to pop. After a pitch is rejected, instead of slumping away in defeat, you might smile and say, "Well, I guess my revolutionary idea needs a little more revolving." Or if a date does not go as hoped, you could reflect with a chuckle, note to self, "Maybe do not lead with my extensive knowledge of ancient pottery shards next time." This is not about making yourself the butt of the joke. It is about acknowledging the gap between your expectations and reality with a wink instead of a grimace. It signals to everyone, and most importantly to yourself, that this single event has not broken your spirit. You are already bouncing back, your perspective intact. This resilient good humor is magnetic in a leader. It puts others at ease, showing that the environment is safe for taking risks because failure is not met with drama, but with learning and a quick recovery. It proves that your confidence is not so fragile that it cannot withstand a little poke. By choosing to laugh, you are exercising ultimate control over the narrative. You are declaring that this rejection will be a footnote in your story, not the title of the chapter. That resilient humor provides a quick release of pressure, but for a deeper, more lasting recalibration, you must step outside. The 23rd Stoic tactic is a simple but profound reconnection with nature. Find a quiet park, a forest trail, or even a spot by a flowing river. Leave your phone behind and just observe. Watch the leaves turning from green to gold and then falling to the earth. See how the river flows around rocks, not in anger, but with a persistent, shaping patience. Notice the cycles of growth, decay, and renewal happening all around you, completely indifferent to your personal triumphs and rejections. A towering oak tree does not take offense when a storm breaks its branch. It simply continues growing, incorporating the break into its ever-widening trunk. The forest floor is littered with fallen trees, which become the rich soil from which new saplings rise. This is the grand, timeless theater of life and death, of effort and surrender, playing out on a scale that makes our human dramas feel both small and strangely significant. Your rejection is not a unique catastrophe. It is part of this same universal rhythm, a necessary moment of decay that clears the space for a new kind of growth. When you immerse yourself in this natural perspective, the intense personal story you have been telling yourself begins to soften. That crucial email, that missed opportunity, loses its life or death urgency. You are reminded that you are a tiny, yet profoundly connected part of a cosmos that is vast, beautiful, and utterly impartial. This realization is not diminishing. It is grounding. It pulls the poison of self-importance from a setback and replaces it with a quiet, humble strength. You walk away from the forest not feeling smaller, but feeling re-anchored to something eternal. Your problems have not vanished, but they have been returned to their proper size, allowing you to face them not with frantic anxiety, but with the steady, enduring patience of a tree growing toward the sun. There is a profound strength in saying nothing at all. After a rejection, our first instinct is often to fill the void with noise, to justify ourselves, to argue, or to lash out with words we can never take back. The 24th Stoic tactic asks you to do the exact opposite, to master the art of silence. This is not a passive surrender, but a conscious, strategic choice to pause and let the emotional dust settle before you take another step. A leader understands that their immediate reaction is rarely their wisest one. In that charged moment after a no, your judgment is clouded by raw feeling, and anything you say or do is likely to be a product of that storm, not of your core principles. By choosing silence, you create a sanctuary for your reason to return. You give yourself the space to process the disappointment without letting it dictate your actions. Think of a glass of muddy water. If you shake it, the water becomes completely opaque. But if you set it down and let it be, the sediment slowly settles to the bottom, leaving the water clear again. Your mind after a rejection is that glass of muddy water. Silence is the act of setting it down. You are not ignoring the problem. You are allowing your clarity to return so you can see the situation and your options with precision. This practice is a powerful demonstration of self-control. It shows everyone and reminds yourself that you are not a puppet whose strings are pulled by external events. You are the one who decides when to speak and what to say. In a professional setting, this might mean receiving critical feedback in a meeting and simply nodding, saying thank you for the input, and taking a day to reflect before you craft a measured response. In a personal context, it might mean walking away from a difficult conversation to breathe and regain your composure instead of escalating the conflict with heated words. This deliberate pause prevents you from burning bridges in a moment of pride or pain. It allows you to separate the event from your identity, to ask yourself the vital questions: what part of this is useful feedback and what part is simply noise? When you finally do break your silence, your words will carry the weight of thoughtfulness, not the heat of reaction. Your response will be a choice, not a reflex. This is the mark of a strategic leader, one who knows that the most powerful move is often to stand still, to listen to the echo of the no, and to answer it not with an echo of their own, but with the quiet, unwavering sound of their own considered truth. Your final role in this Stoic journey is not to conquer the world, but to master your small part within it. Every one of us has been cast in a specific part on life's stage as a parent, a colleague, a friend, a citizen. The script you are given includes lines you did not write and scenes you would not have chosen, including every single rejection you will ever face. A leader understands that their ultimate virtue lies not in rewriting the script to avoid hardship, but in playing their given role with excellence, dignity, and unwavering commitment, regardless of the audience's reaction. Think of a dedicated school teacher in a challenging district. Her role is not defined by the students who reject her help or the parents who question her methods. Her duty is to show up each day with patience, to offer knowledge with compassion, and to plant seeds she may never see grow. The standing ovation may never come, but her success is measured by the integrity she brings to her post. This is the duty-focused leadership of a Roman statesman who served the Republic not for fame or favor, but because it was his responsibility. Your own life is your republic. When you pitch an idea that gets rejected, you are playing your role as an innovator. When you express care that is not returned, you are playing your role as a person capable of love. The rejection is not a sign you are in the wrong part. It is often the central conflict of the part itself, the necessary friction that allows your character to be proven and refined. Your job is not to avoid the conflict, but to move through it in a way that honors your core principles. Did you act with courage? Were you just in your dealings? Did you exercise wisdom in your response? This is the only review that matters. The applause or the boos from the crowd are just noise. Your lasting impact, the legacy of your leadership, is etched into the world by the quality of your character in every role you play, especially when the stage is dark and no one is left to clap. So we have journeyed through 25 timeless Stoic tactics, from the mental rehearsal of Premeditation of Evils to the profound acceptance of your life's role. Each one is a tool not for building a wall against rejection, but for building a forge within yourself. The ultimate goal was never to avoid the sting of a no, but to learn the alchemy of transforming that sting into an unshakable strength, a deeper wisdom, and a character that no setback can truly fracture. A leader is not someone who never hears the word no. A leader is the one who hears it and chooses to grow from its echo. This entire philosophy is an invitation to stop seeing rejection as a verdict on your past and start seeing it as the raw material for your future. Your resilience is not a trait you are born with. It is a skill you carve with every single challenge you face. Do not feel you need to master all 25 tactics at once. That would be overwhelming. The most powerful step is always the first one. Choose just one single tactic from this list to practice with intention over the next 7 days. Perhaps you will start with the view from above the next time a small rejection bothers you, pulling back your perspective to see its true size. Or maybe you will practice voluntary discomfort by taking one cold shower, building that small muscle of resilience. Whatever you choose, commit to it for 1 week and watch how a single shift in perspective can begin to change everything. I would love to hear about your journey. In the comments below, share which tactic you are choosing to practice or tell us about a time you faced rejection and how you are now seeing it through a new Stoic lens. Your story could be the inspiration someone else needs to hear today. If this practical approach to philosophy resonates with you, subscribe for more guides that help you navigate life's challenges not with complex theories, but with actionable wisdom you can use immediately. The path to leading through life's rejections is a continuous one, and we are walking it together.